event for us. We have a very active suicide prevention task force in Lebanon County that's doing great things. So we wanted to talk a little bit about suicide in general, the resources that are available, signs and symptoms, and so on. And then I believe Holly will discuss a little bit some of the many activities that the task force is doing right now. Nationally, more than 41,000 individuals die by suicide each year, which is just a phenomenal number of people who die this way. So it is a major concern nationally. It certainly is a major concern in Pennsylvania and locally. When we look at our own numbers here in Lebanon County, we are at we're just past the middle of the calendar year, and we are at the same rate as in 2017. During the year of 2017, we had 18 completed suicides. As we speak today, for 2018, we have 11 completed suicides. If we would continue at that rate, we would, I guess the good news would be that there would be no increase in the rate at this point. It would be the same as 2017. The bad news is, unfortunately, it doesn't appear as though it's decreasing at this point. We continue our efforts with the task force to try and get the awareness of signs and symptoms, what people can do, what resources are available to anyone who is considering suicide. But on one level, we're pleased that the rate is not increasing when we're seeing other counties in Pennsylvania and other states. The numbers keep going up. Yes, sir.
Change in the profile?
I guess I would say the slight change in the profile would be the number of women. That has, I believe, if I can find my papers. The number of women, I believe, we have 3 out of our 11 being women. It's right behind what I have. Again, total of 11 completed suicides. 8 of the 11, or 73% roughly, are males, and 3 of them, roughly 27%, are females. The age it may be slightly lower. We're at about 49 years of age as being the average. It's generally in the upper 40s or somewhere in the 50s. The youngest being a 12-year-old. That was the most devastating one for our county. And the oldest being 87 years old. So there's a broad range of ages in that group, which is generally much different than we see other years. Looking again at further statistics, 3 out of 10 are known to be veterans. 2 of them are from out of county. It had residences in other county. About 1/3 were married or have a significant other, and only about less than 20% have a known mental health history, and that same 18% was known to our agency. I believe they were both the same individuals. There were 2 of them. Same number for drug and alcohol history is about 18%. 100% are Caucasians. We have no other ethnicities or minorities this year. The methodology employed, we have 82% by firearm and 2% by hanging. So other than maybe the larger than usual number of females and the disparity among ages, those are probably the 2 biggest changes that we're seeing in Lebanon County. When we consider the basics of how to reduce suicides, again, the task force does a lot of sort of promotional activities and awareness programs and trainings and so on for various groups in the community. But we also like to talk, when we have an opportunity, to talk publicly about some of the warning signs. So if you have someone in your family or a coworker, a neighbor, a friend, things you might look for that would be red flags that they may be at risk. If they make threats or comments about killing themselves, is what we call suicidal ideation. And it can be seemingly harmless, where it's saying, I wish I wasn't here. Things can become more overt as time goes on, so you're looking for things like that. Increased use of alcohol or drugs beyond what is normal for that individual. Aggressive behavior is often a symptom. Social withdrawal from friends, family, and the community. Dramatic mood swings. Talking, writing, or thinking about death. Or impulsive or reckless behaviors. Those are some of the things that are commonly seen in people who are at risk for suicide. And for those who we may consider being in imminent danger, if people are putting their affairs in order and giving away their possessions, you can kind of read the handwriting on the wall there, or they're saying goodbye to family or friends. Those are signs of imminent danger. Someone's very serious about it. And some of the risk factors for people with suicide. It's important to note that about more than half people who died by suicide do not have a known mental health condition. They've never been diagnosed. So someone who does have a known mental illness would be at greater risk. People who have a family history of suicide are at greater risk. Again, people that are abusing substances, whether it's alcohol or other drugs. People that have access to firearms. Again, when you combine some of these things, there's certainly a fear. When you look again at the number of deaths we have related to firearms, it's very high. If someone has a serious or chronic medical illness, that's also a trigger. I think the older individual we had did have some type of medical condition. We do see that occasionally where someone has a very serious or chronic or terminal illness, and they decide they don't want to go on. Again, gender, men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide. If they have a history of trauma or abuse, that certainly can put them at risk. Prolonged stress, isolation, and the age group generally is people under the age of 24 or above the age of 65 are at higher risk. We don't see that in our statistics, but nationally that's a figure that's given. Someone who has also experienced a recent tragedy or loss, they're certainly at risk for suicide. And if they are agitated and are experiencing sleep deprivation, those are concerns that one might have of looking at a loved one or a neighbor or coworker. We talk about where folks can go for help. Locally, they can call crisis intervention and get help. They can call 911. They can also call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is 1-800-273-TALK or 1-800-273-8255.
So they also get referred through 211 if they would call.
If they would call 211 and exhibit signs or symptoms or be asking for help, they would refer them right into crisis intervention at that point. So there is a network out there locally and nationally to help people who may be at risk. And just speaking again about what we should be observing as friends, loved ones, and co-workers is I also like to say that don't be afraid to talk about it. If you see something that concerns you, talk about it with that individual. Ask them if they need help. Ask them if they can get the medical help or psychiatric help. Because sometimes people think nobody cares, no one even wants to talk about this or acknowledge that I have very serious concerns. So it is important to talk about it among people who you may think are at risk and get them to take steps to get the help they need to prevent another tragedy. Just to move on to what the task force does, Holly has a whole bunch of things going on there that she'd like to tell you about.
Thank you, Kevin. So as Kevin mentioned, our suicide prevention task force here in Lebanon County is very active. They are working all year long to provide trainings and classes and things to help individuals understand more what mental health means, what does that look like, and how can I best help individuals around me. So for the month of suicide, we have a lot happening, and I brought some copies along for you. These are posters that have all of the events and classes and things that are happening. I'm going to note just a few, but before that, I do that, I want to note that this year, September, is really to continue our You Matter initiative. And You Matter is really important. It's that singular message that we're trying to get out into the community, that you matter, we all matter, we are all very important. And just one individual loss to suicide is one too many and affects our community in a dramatic way. And so if there is a way that we can watch for those warning signs, that we can kind of watch what's happening around us, reach out to someone that you may see that is struggling, let them know that they are important, that they matter, and that there is help and hope, and there are people that really want to be there for them. And so that's our message, and that is kind of infused in all of the things happening during September. I won't go through each and every one, but I wanted to highlight just a few. So first, for Monday, September 10th. Monday, September 10th is World Suicide Prevention Day. And on September 10th, we asked the community to light a candle at 8:00 p.m. on September 10th. And what that signifies is your support for individuals in our community that have lost a loved one to suicide, and then also in support for those individuals, those lives that we have already lost to suicide. And make sure everyone knows that we're in support. We are offering candles, and they're remembrance candles, so if anyone would like to remember someone, they're able to write that on the candle. These are available through our office, and you can go to our website to obtain more information about that.
They
And
are
also,
electric too.
oh yes, they
battery
are.
powered.
They are battery powered. I pull a little thing, but they are battery powered, so no chance of fire. Great note. We're also on Thursday, September 13 is Good Neighbor Trivia Night at the Gretna Craft Brewery. And so that's a fundraiser for suicide prevention. The proceeds from that trivia night will go to all of the efforts that we provide here in Lebanon County during the year. And so if you have a chance to go out, should be lots of fun. There's food from 4 to 9 p.m. and then the trivia actually runs from 7 to 9 p.m. Should be a lot of fun, and we'll have folks there to share information about suicide prevention and how to best help individuals. On Saturday, September 15th, we're partnering with the Lebanon YMCA to provide a You Matter Inside Out movie presentation. So that's going to be exciting. This will be a free movie, and popcorn and drinks, and a little presentation on You Matter. And so everyone is invited to come out for that. That's from 3 to 5:30 p.m. on September 15th. And then I do want to note on Thursday, September 27th, is our last event, and we kind of wrap up the month with a Remembrance Ceremony. And that is at the Nature Barn at Stoever's Dam. And we do have a Remembrance Garden there that has individuals memorialized in pavers. It's opportunity for family members, loved ones to come and share some moments just to remember their loved ones, and to really unite in one and know that they're not alone, that they're part of a much bigger special group of individuals, and they can help one another through this. So during the month also we're doing another fundraiser, and this is kind of fun. We've done a t-shirt for that You Matter message, so it's nice and bright and cheery. It has our task force logo on it. On the back it says You Matter. So no matter where you wear this t-shirt, you are going to be sending that message to everyone in the community that they matter, and I think that's so important. The task force really wanted to thank the commissioners and thank you so much for all of your support that you give us all year long for suicide prevention and awareness and everything that happens. So we have brought you a little gift bag. It's included in there is a t-shirt, just one of the t-shirts, and also a candle. So we just have a huge thank you to you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to add that I saw a video recently, and your You Matter theme reminded me of it, and where a young woman who actually had thought about suicide herself one time started making little note cards, and I guess she might have wrapped them in plastic, whatever, and put them at bridges and different places where people would go and perhaps contemplate suicide. And they have actually credited her with saving 6 people's lives, and they know because somehow they expressed it and it got back to her, and the community gave her an award. So it's proven it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So good. This is a good program. I can see that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can all join together. This is something that we all have a part in, and we touch lives each and every day in a very amazing way and have that ability to give a special message to someone. And it doesn't have to be, maybe it's just a smile. Maybe it's just you sharing, just a glance or something, but just to let them know that you see them, you recognize them, and they are important, and they're not overlooked. So thank you all for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you again for coming in.